Hello, hello, hello. I am Zachary Fenell, author, entrepreneur, the Cerebral Palsy Vigilante, and I'm continuing my mission to give you a better chance at knowing the people I mentioned in my Cerebral Palsy memoir, Off Balance. Today, we're in the nice, quiet suburb of South Euclid with Mike Rodriguez, aka Hot Rod, who you may remember from Off Balance. Mike, one of the things I mentioned about Mike and Off Balance was how he kind of stepped up my junior year of college when I was the editor-in-chief of the Notre Dame News. Mike ended up becoming the assistant to the editor-in-chief. We had a lot of fun, playfully, a lot of fun with that position, but he also was just a really great friend in helping me out while I didn't have a graphics editor. And so my first question, Mike, is what made you step up to assist with Notre Dame News like that?
Um, I think my desire to always help friends and always learn new things. I seen assisting you in the office during the newspaper position was my chance to go outside of my boundaries of not really liking to write or being an author. That was my chance to learn something new and maybe apply it in positions in the future. It was also always fun to hang out with you in the office till 1 or 2 in the morning, just doing random stuff, whether it was homework, working with the newspaper, or just messing around. It was that friendly and playful environment that just welcomed everyone.
Sounds great. And I think that's something we can all take with us is to, because I actually mentioned that within one of the lines of Off Balance about how you weren't even a communication or a writing major or anything. So you, like, the newspaper had nothing to do with your degree. But I do think when we all have an open mind and strive to learn new things, that we all improve. And so I think that's a good example for everyone out there to kind of follow by. And moving forward to that was 2007, 2008, and moving flash, fast forward a few years, I released my Cerebral Palsy memoir, Off Balance, onto the Kindle and Nook. And I know you're one of the individuals who read Off Balance. And out of curiosity, I know, because actually you have you've dealt with learning disability, ADHD. And so when you read Off Balance, was there anything in there that you related to, or how would you compare what the sentiments I shared with what things you experienced with the disability you've had or have?
Well, after reading your memoirs of Off Balanced, I connected with them because of the things that I had to deal with growing up with ADHD, ADD. So a lot of the hurdles that you challenge, I may not have a challenge, face the same hurdles, but in a sense, had to overcome barriers, whether it was in an educational environment or a home environment. I grew up in a community that was small, so in the beginning didn't provide the tools and building blocks I needed to succeed. So it was a lot of in-home and family support, almost like in your books you give examples of that. When reading your book, it was a lot of similarities in between figuring out everyday life and overcoming obstacles.
Yeah, because I know one of the things that I was interested to hear in your answer was because for me, while my disability is physical, a lot of the stuff I share about and talk about wasn't necessarily the physical aspect of it. It's mentioned in there, but it was more of how that had an impact on me socially, how it kind of made me feel self-conscious. And I was kind of curious to see if maybe if that played, or if you ever felt self-conscious about kind of like how others perceived you because of your ADHD, or if that really was not one of the barriers you encountered.
Yeah, one of the barriers that I did encounter was the social aspect, not only outside of school but inside of school. Because with ADHD and ADD, you have a chemical imbalance to being able to control your attitude, your emotions, or just your behavior in general. So inside of school, I may have been calm, but not coherent. And outside of school, I may have been like off the walls, loopy, just because regulation and medication. So yeah, the social aspect was a big key, and that is still a big key.
That is a great point. Like, I talk about off balance, and I describe it as my cerebral palsy memoir that talks about embarrassment, being embarrassed about having a disability, to coming to embrace it. But even though I've embraced it, it doesn't, like, there's still daily battles or weekly battles you go through. And so it kind of really relates to what you were just talking about. And moving on and moving ahead, one interesting thing is when you're becoming authors, you get a lot of people who express their own interest in writing a book. And everyone has a story to tell, but it's like, it's figuring out an angle. And I think you have a really interesting story. I think a lot of people would be intrigued by, with the fact, as we talked about with your ADHD, and when you started Notre Dame College in the fall of 2006, and you graduated in the spring of 2015, and you had your ins and a lot of ups and downs in between. I think that would be a really interesting story for others. So if you were to write, even though you said before that you're not that big, a big writer, but if you were to use that Notre Dame news background that you got hanging out in the newspaper office and apply it to write your own memoir, what would it be called, and what would be some of the main focal points for you?
What would it be called? That's a good question. I think if I was to write a memoir on my ups and downs of college and my life to where I am today, I think I would call it Nothing Without Work. Because no matter what you do, you have to give it work. So you just drive it takes to finish things, seeing things through to the end. And like you said in your comments, is talking about the ups and downs of my college career and getting to where I am.
It's a fantastic title, because that's true. It seems cliche, but you don't get to anywhere meaningful without putting in the work. And that said, I don't really have anything else for you, so unless there's anything you want to add to the great people out there watching, and the okay people out there, and then those others. No, I'm just kidding, you're all great. If you're watching this, you're all great. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add, any final thoughts before we bring this to a close?
If you haven't read his memoirs yet, do it. It's very inspirational. I was amazed that I was in it. My mom even read it and was like, "Oh, look at that!" And she has also asked about writing memoirs. She thinks you're an amazing writer. She still has all your newspapers from when we were in the office together. So those are memories that even my family have. So thank you.
Thank you. People are out there going to be thinking, I keep bringing people on, and I'm parading for them to kind of, I'm parading you guys all in and just to say wonderful things about me. That's not the point. What I hope to do with these videos is to start conversations, and I hope you there have a friend as good as Mike, who when you're in the when you got something keeping you up to 1 a.m. in the morning, that you have that pal in the trenches to keep you company and keep you going through. Because some key themes we talked about was working hard, but you also the hard work becomes easier when you're not doing it alone. So that will be my end sentence there, is to remember that the hard work is necessary, but it is a lot easier when you have people to help you out with it. So thank you, Mike, and thank you for watching. And thank you, Sheila, for recording.